What's going on, beautiful people? We are back for our second episode of our vlog. Thought we would start at Odin's enclosure. Now you remember this little plant here that I said was growing like a weed, which is ironic considering it was a weed that was in our garden. Look at all that growth. It's sending up new shoots there. We come up here, we've got some branches coming off, lots of leaves. Now last week it was up to about here somewhere. So in a week, look at that. Look at that. How insane is that? That is about 4 inches of growth in a week. That's crazy. I'm really excited to see how much that continues to grow, because it could be a really good viney looking plant for inside some of these enclosures and really add to that jungle vibe that we're going for. So I'll keep doing updates on that plant there. I have actually noticed it popping up in a few of the other enclosures that I put it in where it's died off as well, so hopefully we can get it going in a few of the enclosures and get some different varieties of plants. All the other plants are still doing quite well. The piper back there. This little plant back here, reaching up towards the light, which is really good to see. And of course, the creeping fig is doing its thing and starting to creep up the side of this tree trunk here that I made. So that'll look really, really cool with that growing up there. Look at this, even growing out the front there. Okay, so on to the next enclosure. Now we're at Eris's enclosure. This thing is growing in absolutely phenomenally. It's probably actually the enclosure that I like the least, mainly because of this section up here. It just looks very boring. I'd really like to redo it, but I am going to wait until we hopefully get a new location, because I want to go bigger with everything. But you can see back here, one of the power pumps is just hanging on. Ficus is trying to take over. This is one I actually left in a pot, and I did that because the misting system was dripping in certain locations. So I planted some plants where I knew they were going to get water, and these things seem to thrive if you keep them moist. So my misting system goes off every 3 days, and as you can see, today was one of those days. But this one's really taken off. You can see there. I really like this bottom section with the Buddha head and everything. It needs a good prune. But you can see the ficus is creeping up there. The Benjamina is absolutely thriving. And that's probably what I need to prune the most. Now I let the little pond go. It looks like absolute garbage, but I do have some plans for that. I've got a little waterfall pump. So I'm gonna redo that bit, clean up all this, add some new leaf litter. This parlor palm, now this one actually wasn't thriving at all, and then all of a sudden it's taken off. You can see another creeping fig in there is doing quite well. Now the Dracaena, these Dracaena absolutely thrive in here. But unfortunately, we had the carpets done a while back and they were out of the vivarium for quite a while. And they died off, and I managed to just save one. There were a couple more hanging in there and they just didn't make it. It's really unfortunate because they are one of my favorite plants for these vivariums. You get really good coverage, and positioned in with the bamboo stakes like this is gives a really nice natural sort of bamboo appearance. It's the same as the one that's in the large vivarium, but yeah, only one's hung on, so I'm hoping that'll put out some new shoots. They do send off runners, but we'll see. Very unfortunate with that one. As you can see down here, maybe you can't see, there's some more spider webs down there, so we've got spiders living in this one, keeping things under control. As far as gnats and stuff go, Eris is back here. This is what I was describing in the last vlog about cryptic basking. And as you can see, when you zoom out, she's really hard to spot, so she feels nice and safe in there. She is probably my crankiest, but it doesn't seem to be stress. She's just very aware and hates being touched. So I leave her be. I set her up with everything she needs and just let her do her thing. And then wear leather gloves when I do have to handle her and get her out. Say if I had to take her to a vet or anything like that, or she actually did escape this enclosure, I messed up and didn't make sure the doors had closed all the way. And she got out and I was like, oh, of course it's her. So she ended up in the top of the wardrobe of all places, where I had to climb up, and yeah, it wasn't the most fun. Didn't get bit in the face, which was lucky. I actually don't know what this plant here is. I'm just looking at that now. It might be part of the ficus creeping fig. I'll have to keep an eye on that one. That'll be pretty cool to see. That's about it for this one. Yeah, we might do a bit of redecorating in this, bring that back wall to life. I've got some artificial moss that works quite well and looks quite nice. So maybe I'll decorate that back wall with some moss. But until we get the new location, I'm not going to do too much in here, and it's going to absolutely kill me when we do move to disrupt this lush little forest floor going on here. But you got to do what you got to do. You want to go bigger and better, then you got to make sacrifices. So, all right, let's have a look at the next thing. We're back at the large vivarium, and you are possibly looking at this pond going, that is not what we were looking at last week. And you would be correct. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, you may have seen the posts about a leaking pond. And unfortunately, I had to dismantle the entire thing. The reason that was happening was the way that I had the waterfall set up. There was a section that hadn't sealed properly, and there was water trickling down behind it into the substrate, ultimately flooding this section of the enclosure. Very unfortunate, as I was very happy with how it was looking. But it gives us the opportunity to try new things. So this is a completely different pond, different containers, different layout, and it's looking quite nice. You can see the water clarity is looking really good. Got some floating plants in there. If you're interested in the design, and I talk about quite a bit more on a recent podcast that I recorded with Daffy's Round Table, that'll be released in a couple of weeks, and I've supplied a lot of diagrams, behind the scenes photos that I haven't released yet. So definitely go and check that out. I'll put up a post when it's released with links so you can go and have a listen, learn a bit more. But as you can see, I've made the best of a bad situation and have a really nice looking pond again. And on that note, the one thing I'm not happy with is this bit. Now, it's a cute little trickle, but I want more of a waterfall. This trickle would look really good if it was on like a, say, 600mm high 2-foot wall, but that's not a situation that I'm going to do in this enclosure. And my answer for that was to buy this. This is a 2,000 litre an hour pump. The pump that's in here is a 550 litre an hour pump. So we should be able to increase that flow by a lot. And I'm excited for that. The one bad thing it does mean is I've got to pull this section apart again, which is going to muddy up the water. But again, making it the best of a bad situation, I thought that it would be a good opportunity to show how long it takes for the water to clear using the bog filter system. If you're still unclear on how the bog filter system works, definitely watch that podcast I mentioned, because I have a full diagram and talk about that system, and like you can see the results for yourself. It works really, really well. It's very, very inexpensive, and you can use it to your advantage in a lot of ways. So definitely tune into that. We've got some artificial moss hiding the container edge there. We've got the plants growing up. I repositioned this one to the back, so it's coming up, climbing all the way up there. And then the plan is for it to drape across all of these vines, creating a bit of a canopy sort of look. This plant, it's not looking the healthiest, but we'll see if it bounces back. It's another freebie, so not a big deal if it doesn't. So yeah, that is the pond. And pretty much all we've got for this vlog. There's a little club moss. See if that survives being down by the water like that. Keep an eye out for the content on clearing up the water with the new pump in there. And I'll see you on the next one.